Historic Preservation Commission. Started at 1901. We'll start with roll call. Sarah?
I'm here.
Sarah's here. Sherilyn?
Here.
Dara?
Yep.
Helen?
Present.
Present?
Present. Here.
All right, we're all here. We have a quorum. Any petitioners or correspondence?
I have no correspondence.
Any petitioners? We're gonna move to approval of the minutes, if we all had a chance to browse it from last month. Any changes or objections?
No.
Okay, excellent. So we have old business, moving on to the Allison Armory Building. Is there anything to report?
So we are getting cost estimates for the ramp and elevator project. So the one you guys care about the most is the ramp project. So those cost estimates are tied to a grant application that we're putting in to basically fund and improve ramps. So once we have that, we would bring something in front of you guys to review, to replace the temporary ramp that was installed.
Okay. What time frame? Like months?
It'll be, I mean, it's months, it's a grant application. So right now.
This year, maybe?
Ideally, yeah.
Okay. Should I keep it on old business, or?
I'll bring a new application. So
Okay.
for right now, I would say where we're at is it can kind of perpetually be on old business, but I'll bring an application in front of the commission when we actually have a design, finalized cost, all that stuff.
And is it dependent on being awarded a grant?
We also are in, I literally had a meeting today, we're in contact with someone who wants to potentially buy the building. So that would be tied into the sale of that building as well.
Okay. All right, any questions? Alrighty, new business. I have first on the list is 34 Chestnut.
Do you understand, or can I sit here?
It's whatever you're comfortable with.
I'm comfortable with both. You guys have everything that's been submitted for this project, right?
Yes. It may be difficult for us to see in our packet.
That's what about this.
Excellent. Okay.
If I do right there for you.
That's fine. Perfect.
All right, so, I'm here to represent, the potential owner of 3436 Chestnut Street. So there's somebody who's looking to buy this property. I'm representing Dr. Pamela Meyer, Dr.
That's me.
Yep, she's here. And, so, yeah, she can step in anytime if you wanna speak up, but overall,
Can I get your name, please?
yes, Alex Herman Engineer.
That's what I wanted to make sure. Thank you.
No problem. So we've been working with Pamela on developing an accessible entrance to the facility. So part of the due diligence of the property is she wants to make sure that she can use it as intended, which is going to be an outpatient doctor's office. Okay. So really all we're looking to do, there's steps currently at the front of the facility. And you guys all know where this is, right on Chestnut Radio Shop there. They want to take the steps out and then just put an ADA accessible ramp. So it's gonna be 1 on 12 for the slope, cast in place concrete. That's the intended, what we're going with now. Not gonna be attached to the building, so it's gonna be able to move a little bit, but it's not gonna be attached to the building. And then there's gonna be a railing along the whole front face. You can see on the elevation down here, a couple crude elevations for you. And then the last piece is maintaining a stair on the backside. So you either go up the ramp if you need to, or just use the standard steps on the end. So again, big things are, it's pretty wide here. You probably know this when you just looked at all this concrete being redone, right? Sidewalks were just redone recently. Unfortunately, so we're actually, excuse me, proposing to where the ramp's gonna go, we're actually gonna saw cut the existing sidewalk out that was just put in. That was not, not planned by any means, it's unfortunate. But that is what's gonna be done. So we're gonna cut some neat saw cut lines to the first panel of sidewalk, and then we're just gonna install this ramp right up against the building but not attached to said building. So biggest thing is concrete, that's what you're gonna see, railings, metal railings. Any questions on that?
Is there a basement?
Yes, I believe there is a basement problem.
And So I assume it'd be gravel, once you saw cut that and take the concrete out, it'll be gravel underneath where you pour, or where you put in the cast?
Yeah, we'll prep the sub-base properly, put new stone in, compact it, and then this is gonna just basically be a monoslope slab, is what it's gonna be, just a pitch slab.
Some type of caulking alongside the building?
Yeah, we'll probably put an expansion joint there, some kind of material that's gonna have some flex to it, so it's not reducing any load on the building.
Well, yeah, I'm more like thinking about water penetration.
Yeah, so right now, we haven't gotten into the like final design of this. This is really preliminary, kind of schematic design in a way. But yes, we're gonna make sure the final design does not encroach on loading the building, and keeps the integrity of the envelope of the building, so that includes the basement, if we're required to, and it looks like when we dig down, if there's any kind of, looks like anything's wrong with the facade of the existing basement, we'll coat that or have some kind of waterproof membrane put there.
But that shouldn't be visible.
That will not be visible, that's
No, right.
It'll be completely enclosed by this ramp structure.
Yeah.
Yep.
I'm just curious, how far does the proposed ramp extend?
Right.
Does it end at the building
Yeah.
34, 36? It doesn't stretch beyond that? to the
No,
next
right
one?
now it's right to the joint of the
Oh.
adjacent building.
Okay.
It's actually less than 1 in 12. You've got it 5/8 on there, so it's actually going 27 feet, the length of the ramp. And it looks to me if it's 3 risers of equal height of 7.5 inches, you really would only have to go 22.5 feet, which would not take you to the next building and would leave you a nice 4.5-foot sort of
Before we get to
approach
that.
to the ramp for somebody in a wheelchair, and they wouldn't be in front of the next adjacent property. I used to design ramps all the time, so.
Yeah, no, that's fine. So this is also not survey grade, I will tell you that right now. So we have some fudge in there to make sure that we're covered. Yes, we're probably accurate. Especially when you look at 5/8 on 1 foot is not exactly how you typically see a slope indicator either. But yes, we were out there with best we can do the preliminary design to make sure it gets approved before we have Dr. Meyer spend any more funds on the design. So
Makes
final
sense.
design will absolutely be survey grade. It's going to make sure that it's at maximum of 1 in 12. And you're absolutely right. If even better, if we can depict that this is actually not encroaching on the adjacent building, it's even better. We at no means would be in front of the adjacent entrance, which is fortunate. But yes, maybe this gets a little shorter. Like you said, per se, maybe this down over here indicates that this ramp's a little shorter. Final design.
How many people can walk by on the sidewalk with that there?
So we're showing, again, not survey grades, we're showing approximately 10'6" from the face of this ramp to the curb line. So that's a that's a wide area. You could get rid of 4 people walking by each other, it's never gonna happen, but you can definitely get 2 people walking side by side.
We exceeds the requirement of the zoning code.
Yes.
So when we design sidewalks, it exceeds what is required, what we allow.
Sure. Any questions? No, everything's been answered.
Oh, yes.
Name correction. It's actually Dr. Salmon, in Louisiana, Salmon. I'm married in Meyer, but my medical license is Dr. Pamela Salmon.
Okay.
So just to make sure that's correct. If y'all need to know that.
Thank you.
Let's make sure, yeah, I wanna make sure it's done. Yes.
That's a guy married him, yeah. They wanted $50 to shake my name on my license. When your name partner broke. That's all.
Any other questions?
Charlie?
No, no questions.
Great.
Can I make a motion?
Please?
I would like to make a motion that the Oneonta Landmarks and Historic Preservation Commission serve as the lead agency on this proposal.
Second. All in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Aye.
Unanimous? We have to have a motion for approval of seeker?
Yeah.
You have to declare it as an action.
A motion to declare it as an
Yes. I think I included that.
It's,
I would like to make another motion. To declare this a type 2 action under seeker, because it pertains to the construction or expansion of a primary or accessory appurtenant non-residential structure or facility involving less than 4,000 square feet of gross floor area and not involving a change in zoning or a use variance inconsistent with local land use controls, but not radio communication or microwave transmission facilities.
It's very specific.
Very specific.
I second that. All in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous. Do we have, are we ready to make a motion for approval or approval with modification?
So I would like to express my opinion. Is that appropriate?
Sure.
I mean, so I
think you
can.
can do that now, or you can do it during discussion
Oh.
after the motion, it's up to you.
Whatever you prefer. I don't know.
Well,
There's no motion on the floor, so go ahead.
Well, so I mean, looking at this building, and from a preservation standpoint, there is already a more modern brick facade covering over the original 19th century facade. The original foundation already is clad with concrete. So in my opinion, this will not be materially affecting the historic integrity of the building. It will not be affecting the appearance of the building because there is already a sloped concrete clad foundation right there. So, and again, because it is not attached to the building, it's not a permanent part of the architecture. So I don't see that this is an issue.
Okay. Yeah, I'd like to reiterate that, some type of water sealing, since it isn't attached to the building and it's gonna be potentially open underneath, preserving the integrity of the structure, through sealing it would be good.
Makes sense.
So, I'd like to make a motion to accept the COA as written.
I'll second that.
Okay. Sarah?
Aye.
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 Unanimous. All right, thank you. Easy peasy, good luck.
You're welcome to stay and enjoy the rest of the meeting.
It's very enjoyable.
Thank you very much.
I'm staying.
So next up on the list is 25 Wilcox, which is the Swart Wilcox house. Do we have somebody here?
Yes,
Okay.
I'm Lorraine Tyler, I'm the treasurer of Swart Wilcox. I'd be glad to answer any questions that you might have. Our desire is to complete the homestead. As many of you probably know, the building is the oldest standing residential building in the city. The barn was there to begin with, but was burned as a fire exercise in 1969. So our desire is to move a barn to the site, which is as close to the English thresher barn that we probably can come up with. And that's our project.
Okay.
Do I recuse myself?
Yes. So Helen's recusing herself from discussion and vote. How about the size of it? Is it comparable in size? Its square footage?
It's a little bit bigger, isn't it, Alex?
This is about 600 square feet. Yeah, I'm working on, my firm's working on this project,
Yeah.
so we're here to answer questions as well.
Okay.
The original barn was how big?
I think, yeah, as I say, Helen, but
30 by 40.
mid-fives, 540, 550, right?
30 by 40.
30 by 40, okay, 30 by 40.
Fairly good size
Yeah.
one.
Are there any images of the original barn before it was burned?
Yes, there are. I don't have them with me, but yeah, we do. And it's very close in design.
So just to add some, before we start to review the clarification on this project, this particular barn, although it is historic, is not historic.
It's not.
So it's not part of the National Register, it's not part of the National Register District. So the review of this project is going to be the review of essentially building a structure that could potentially impact the Swart Wilcox house. not a review of the barn itself. So keeping that in mind, like, if we were reviewing the barn as a project, it was in the historic district, it was part of the district, you would be reviewing physical changes to the structure. In this case, you're reviewing the impact of moving the structure on the historic site. So that's really what you're reviewing. Reviewing the impact of the barn in relation to Swart Wilcox House, not the physical barn itself. So that's why when I included in your memo, I included some things about rehabilitation, but I also included some things about like kind of reciting a historic structure, because that's kind of what's happening here.
Steve, I'm not
go ahead,
sure
Bob.
I understand the distinction, because it's on the property of the Swart Wilcox House
Yep.
now, and it's visible from this, so it's not on the National Register now, but is it not like any other new
So-
building that would be put on a
It would
National
be-
Register
What you're
property?
reviewing here is, let's say Swart Wilcox House decided to build a new barn, just build a barn from scratch.
Well, they tried that before, right?
Okay, so that's what you're reviewing. So you're not reviewing alterations to the historic barn, you're reviewing alterations to the site that the barn will be located on. So you'll be reviewing how this barn will interact with the existing historic landscape that's there.
Okay.
Not reviewing like, well, what type of windows are in this historic barn, what type of doors. It's a slightly different, like it's a nuance between, like what we did with the Greater Oleana Historic Society. You were reviewing physical changes to a structure on the National Register in the district. This barn is not historic as far as National Park Service is concerned.
Just old.
It's just old. And they're not making modifications to a structure located in the historic district. They're making alterations to a site that's in the historic district.
Good, thank you.
Are we 100% sure that the barn at where it's located now is not in a historic district?
Oh, yeah,
Yes.
it's on
Yeah.
top of Crumhorn Mountain.
Yeah, it's.
That
it's
was my
not-
question.
It's not part of the district, it's not contributing.
Okay.
It's
It's
just
a
an old barn.
private area, private property.
And actually, if I can interject, Shakabuchi, Public Works Director. I've met with the landowners of the existing barn. If it wasn't for this project, they'd be tearing this barn down and burying it. So we're kind of saving parts of this barn with this project.
And in these photos where we see the red barn, is it just the big rectangle portion in the front?
Yes.
Oh, so it's not that whole,
It's not
big-
the whole
not
thing,
all
it's just a
three.
small piece on the end.
It's,
Oh, okay.
it's the rectangle on the end, it's not all three pieces.
That's correct.
Okay.
all right, so I do have some questions. But first, is there any potential for it to become a historic structure in the future?
No, I mean, the problem is it's been relocated. So,
Well,
I mean, you guys could locally designate it, but National Register, it's not gonna, have a no plan.
So,
Really?
so just to comment on that a little bit, so once a building is relocated, it's considered to have its integrity compromised because it's lost its integrity of setting. So it has to be a really remarkable building in and of itself to be National Register eligible. So something like a very common English style barn in upstate New York that's been relocated would not be eligible for listing on the National Register.
Okay.
Because it has lost,
Its
it might,
context.
yeah, it might be eligible where it is now as part of an agricultural complex. But on its own, it's really nothing special, and once you take it out of that context, it's compromised. So, I agree, we could locally landmark it, if we thought it was historically significant locally, I would have some issues with that. But yeah, your National Register reviewer would not, it would apply.
But with that said, once it's moved onto the site, I mean, any changes to it would require review anyway, because this parcel is designated.
Exterior changes.
Yep.
And my last question is going to be, where is it gonna sit in relationship to the house?
It's shown on the
These
site.
sites-
Where the barn was
very
originally?
it's really hard to
Where
read.
the orchard used to
No.
be.
Physical copy.
If you look at A,
Which-
C101,
C101?
and you can zoom in on your screen, you can sort of see.
Do you have it on the, is it online?
So Charlie,
I took a
C
digital
one
copy
hundred
here.
is as it is now.
Okay.
C 101, if you look just,
To the
slightly
north
to
of
the
the
north
house.
of the house is really dim in C 101. It looks like there's the barn and then, a
That's why I thought it was
landscaped
weird.
area
A
and
brick
a,
sidewalk,
and a parking area, it looks like.
yeah.
Well, and to me, it looks like it's going near where the orchard is, right?
No, you're not looking.
No.
It'll be,
That's,
A few
that's where the
pages.
orchard is
Charlie,
now.
that's, Charlie,
orchard.
behind
That's
you
the
on the
orchard.
wall is a
Okay.
remote.
So it's right adjacent, the parking is adjacent to the
Yeah.
orchard.
I think we're gonna put the site plan on the TV.
Get the two
Awesome.
TVs, that would be amazing, I would
Yeah.
appreciate it.
I don't have to push any other buttons, do I?
No, all you have to do is turn
You're-
it on
you're-
and I will
you're
take
good.
care of the rest.
Yeah, that's about
And then
my
that same
favorite.
remote will do this TV as well.
Up.
Just let me know which drawing you want.
Excellent.
C101?
Is,
101?
yeah, that's it. Is there a way to enlarge it?
I had two different printouts,
Thank you.
and neither of them were just
So,
like.
so pan a little bit, there you go. So here's the existing house down here. This is the driveway, so that's Wilcox Ave. You come up, there's a dirt, or existing gravel driveway here. And you come over here, this is where the current house is located. So instead of going to the left, you're gonna go kind of straight up in here, and the newly located barns are right there. So
And
this-
is that where the original one was?
No,
No?
No.
we actually had to put the barn in a specific location because it had an archaeological investigation done, and there are artifacts right across the site. And so the location of the barn is where there are no artifacts.
All right.
Just out of curiosity, where was the barn originally? Like,
Think about here,
okay.
I remember.
Okay.
I have a question, Pam. So there's an existing gravel driveway. Are you planning to extend or add, further driveway to get to the barn itself? Will it still be gravel driveway in keeping with what already exists?
Yeah, so we are showing gravel. The only concern I really ever had was making sure that we still had an accessible pathway to and from the building, so that was one of the concerns. But we had actually shown previously, had shown asphalt, and that just kind of takes away from the whole dynamic of the entire facility, so I get that. So yes, we are looking at just extending this area here. And this is all gonna stay as is, so it's just this one area with some parking shown here. Yeah.
With the same materials that are already being used for the current driveway? Okay.
Can you explain the brick path around the building?
So that's more of the same of the accessible entrances, egress paths, everything. Wanted to make sure that we could get to all the doors that we need to. I think, kind of going back and forth with these guys here, the question was, do we have to have anything? Maybe it's just grass kind of staying with the trend, but we did, like I said, wanted to make sure that it's an egress door we can get out, not just stop in the grass area and be able to get around the building.
Question about that, the brick pathway that you're showing doesn't actually give any accessible path to the front door that will be used by 95% of the people. And that goes pretty much against ADA as far as making it as universal for all to get into the building and to sort of force them to take a path around to the back door, which is an egress door,
So-
seems a little antithetical.
This has got, the way this was designed, again, the intent was that there's actually sliding barn doors on this.
Right.
And these are actually, this is not being used as the primary egress or entrance to the building. We had this all the way around the entire perimeter. We could still do that. If you said, hey, you know what, I agree. I want to bring this around and have all the doors accessible. I don't have an issue with that. It was more just feedback from the committee, making sure that we captured what the intent was, but
So those double doors with the barn door slider are not gonna be used as the main entrance to
No.
the community space? How are they gonna get in there? How are
do
people
you-
gonna get in there? They're gonna come to
Back?
the building and they're gonna see that in the front? And they're gonna go around the building to the back?
Right now, for an accessible entrance, it's here and it's here. Yes. We had, again, where we started with this whole thing had basically
Right.
today, where we at, we're basically implying that, yes, you're parking over here, and to get in, you have to go in here or here. The main entrance is the rear of the property. Now, I'm not saying, I hear you, I agree.
Yeah.
But two, I think the idea was to keep the integrity of not having this just be a brick paver in the front. They really wanted to keep the front of the barn looking the way it is now, which is why it's grass.
I think it's detailed in the elevations too, that's like.
It is, yeah.
How is that so I'm looking at the pictures of the barn. How is it oriented on the property? I see.
So how is it oriented on the property? So plan down, it should be this door here, so if you're looking, I don't have this.
So would that be I don't see sliding barn doors.
Is that where the big hole is right now on this photo?
Keep going.
Yeah.
That bottom
So-
right, is that the space that's gonna have the barn doors in front of it?
It will be on this side of the building, yes, this is where it's indicated, yes.
Okay.
Okay, so that
That faces Wilcox Ave, yeah.
okay. Faces Wilcox Ave.
Yes, or angled to Wilcox Ave, it's gonna face me.
Go ahead.
If you come up the driveway, you're gonna be facing that door.
And
the
the
double
peak end
doors.
is facing Wilcox Avenue.
The proposed barn is not gonna be an exact image of what you see here. So we have concerns with lead paint with the existing siding, so the existing siding is not gonna be reused. Basically, we're using the timbers, the roof rafters, and that's about it. We're gonna have to purchase, new siding to install on the barn. This is basically just the framing that we're gonna get out of this barn.
Oh, so you're just bringing the timber frame.
Yes.
Oh.
You know, it's got the
I understand.
the
Yeah.
marks on it, so you're gonna see that visible from the inside of the
On
barn.
the inside.
Uh-huh.
And then the exterior and the roof and everything, you're gonna try to just make it look old?
We're gonna put clapboard siding on it.
I think that's spec in the elevation drawings.
Yeah, and the roof is, it's a new, we're not bringing it with us.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think that the drawings do say that it'll be reclaimed
We're
siding.
trying to reclaim as much as we can if we can, and that was the idea, and we met with them some recently, after we submitted the application, and we said, yep, do it.
Oh, no,
Please, yeah.
so I guess, so looking at this, in my mind, the way I'm conceptualizing this is essentially, I'm treating it as a new construction on the site of the historic Wilcox House, because it is not a rehabilitation. Like, what's being proposed here is not a rehabilitation of a historic barn, it's a new construction. So the concerns that I have are what moving this barn and changing it, will do to the historical story that's told by the built environment at the historic Wilcox House. So things like, changing, openings to sliding doors. I mean, the glass door kind of gives me a little bit of pause because the barn wouldn't have had a glass door. So I guess the question is, what story are we trying to tell, and how are we telling it? And how does that building, relate to the narrative of this Wilcox House? That's kind of where my brain is at.
Yeah, I agree 100%. I understand that it's not a historically protected structure, but the house and the site is,
Yes.
and they play off one another.
Yeah.
And you're absolutely right. The story that the Swart Wilcox House tells, this factors into that. You can go so far as to say, I think I saw somewhere in here that it's a concrete foundation
Yes.
and not laid stone, which is gonna be exposed probably a foot up, foot and a half,
No, it won't be that far now,
6 inches.
roughly.
The other thing I'd like to mention is the existing barn is complicated. There are varying elevations, as you can see, the grade that's there. There are parts of the building that are rotten, and so some of the timbers had to be replaced using the other barn. So they're tearing all three barns down, and they're gonna save all the timbers for us to use in whatever manner we need to be able to recreate a barn got shaped siding on one side, you got clapboard siding on another, you got tongue and groove siding on another side. It's a real mishmash thing, we'll say.
Chris, we've also been given another barn that we can use for lumber, et cetera.
Yeah, so adding another owner, this barn's gonna give us more of
More of
what we
the
need.
style. All
Yeah.
that other barn will give us is timbers, siding.
Yeah,
It's down now.
Yep.
It's not a viable barn.
right. I think this is going to be the only barn we're gonna use for this project. I have talked to the landowner, the other landowner, and I'm just not so sure that that's gonna, we have more than enough lumber here.
Oh, we have more than.
Oh, yeah, more
okay.
than enough lumber here.
Well, we have a backup plan.
Yes.
If we need more.
So, okay. I just need clarification. Sliding glass door on the front of the barn?
No,
Okay,
barn.
barn door. I thought that's what I heard.
It's a sliding barn door that covers
sorry.
up the glass
Can't
doors.
block a barn door.
And the reason you're not using the siding is because of the lead paint?
Correct.
And your plan is to possibly use new siding,
Yes.
new clapboard siding, pine?
We did, and I was still showing reclaimed siding on this rendition, because we didn't meet with the owners at that point. So we were talking to Mr. White himself about possibly working with him on a material that would work best. The TBD, I don't know that it's today.
I think for me, so this one was the one that has the multiple types of siding you were talking about.
Yeah,
So-
it's hard to see, like, right, on this view here, this is all like cedar shade kind of looking,
Yeah.
and this is totally different, and this is different, so
It's more,
Yeah.
it's
well,
all over the place, right?
So what's cool about that is that it tells the story of that barn's evolution. But that barn's evolution is not tied to the Swart Wilcox house.
Right.
So thinking about historic materials, I think a reclaimed siding that matches a historic siding or is a historic siding would be most appropriate. Alternatively, I would be okay with new siding new wood siding that matches something that is on that.
One of the many.
Yeah, like I don't think I wouldn't expect them to replicate all of the sightings on this. I'd say pick one and go with that. For me, the big thing is my first choice would be a reclaimed historic material, and then alternatively a wood product that is historic in nature. I would not be okay with any sort of composite or vinyl.
No.
Yeah.
That was not the intent, it would be something that would from like specific.
Do we know if the old barn that was at Swart Wilcox was cedar shake or clapboard? Do we know?
Pictures I've seen, I think,
I would guess left for.
Yeah.
And was it painted?
no, I believe it was bare wood.
It was bare wood and it just aged.
We can, yeah.
Just a quick question, this is just me being curious, but in the second photo down on the left, it looks like a round opening?
Yes.
And I'm trying to figure out where that is on the elevation of this barn that's being reused, because all I see are square openings.
It's that opening, 'cause the other side doesn't actually have it.
So it's a square.
It's a square, it's deceiving, it's all in front of the picture.
and I think
Okay.
the elevation drawing says that louver would be replaced. If you go to the,
You know, I think it's very important to have those louvers, yeah.
yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
if you go, Carrie, can you scroll to the, not the picture elevations, but the actual, yeah, scroll.
Yes. A201.
We're going in the wrong direction.
Story of my life.
There you go. So if you look, like, you can see where they're putting the louver in, and that gives you some ideas about fenestration pattern.
And then on the back, are you gonna try to keep those like two little windows, or are they changing?
The Swart Wilcox group didn't really want any windows in the building itself.
We're not really, again, we're not replicating that building anymore, so.
Okay.
I think, one thing I think is, before I just ask Chris, what your thoughts original intent, and when we started the project, was to take that barn specifically, pick it up and move it. That sounds super simplistic, and that's great. And we were all like, great, that's awesome. When we went to look at we started looking at all the ins and outs of this thing. There's a lot of damage, there's a lot of things like all the columns in the building are different heights. A lot of stuff going on. We started looking at, okay, now there's lead paint, and the owner was concerned about donating it because of the lead paint. There's a lot of stuff going on. So really where we got to is saying we want to be able to make the barn look the best as we can to what is there, while maintaining what the Sort Wilcox folks want the building to look like, while also providing an accessible facility that's basically is going to be a meeting assembly space for them. So there's a lot of things when you look at the structure that I was concerned with, that I said I really need to build, and the way we're doing this now is building a shell, and we're just cladding this thing inside and out. I just wanted to kind of bring that around.
I just have a quick question. It's not really related to the exterior at all, but as an architect who designed 3 different museums in Baltimore, I'm really curious how you're maintaining the insulated space on the first level that is designed to be a curatorial storage area for the artifacts that they have. And so therefore, keeping the climate control at a very even level is crucial for wood products, for paper products, for paint products, for any of those things. And I can't see how you do that when you've got a giant stair opening to an unconditioned space up above.
So there is going to be, and it's part of the design intent, was to have an actual hatch that opens with a pulley system that's going to be insulated with a sealed gasket right up to the ceiling. So when you go up the stairs, you're going to run into the ceiling unless you use the pulley system to bring that down. There is a full MEP package with this that's not in this because that's kind of inside. And we did show, just to clarify, this is where the
AC
mechanical unit's going to go. We encapsulated that. But to answer your question, yes, we're going to seal that entire interior envelope that's inside of that space. And the idea originally was let's heat cool the whole thing. It's great, love it. Cost became a major implication for these folks, and
Sure.
that's why we handled that way.
And you've thought a lot about the construction of that insulated wall in terms of where the vapor barriers are, because you're
Yeah.
going to have some really different conditions going on between a hot, humid summer and a cold, cold winter, and you're going to get movement through that wall.
Yeah, so our team's looking at that's kind of part of the reason we also went to building a shell within the shell and being able to really break this thing up into individual pieces. Vapor breaks, all the thermal breaks we want to go through. We are definitely have considered that, and finalizing the documents has definitely got that in mind.
Is this gonna be an insulated panel, structurally insulated panel?
No,
No.
it's not. So it's actually, there's a couple, we can talk through that if it's relevant, but there's basically wood stud walls and wood rafters and a ridge beam that are going to be built. And then we're going to insulate where it needs to be insulated. This is kind of a little summary. Insulate where it needs to be insulated. And then we're going to be actually taking the inside of the barn, wrapping the inside, and then going on the outside and wrapping the outside. So it's going to be this huge stick frame building until you see all the finishes go on the inside and the outside. And we're gonna take the rafters from the existing roof, the roof frame that's shown in those pictures, and those are gonna be, it's complicated, trust me. It sounds like a good one, it's been difficult. And
It's also-
it's 600 square feet too, it's small.
Kind of taken aback by it, to be honest with you.
Yeah,
It's a lot different than what I had envisioned.
that's why I want to give a history of like why.
It's not quite a barn anymore.
Right.
Well,
So
it,
that's the thing, yeah.
Go ahead.
they have a functional use for this. It's, the
Yeah.
form is important, but it's going to be there for the functions that it's serving internally. So I don't know that we want to get too mixed up in what the interior of this building is going to be like, because it's not part of what we.
Yeah. No, it's like a visitor center at
Exactly.
Mount Vernon or
Yeah.
something, which is not necessarily built in a colonial style.
Right. I think for me what would be important is to have some sort of like interpretive sign
Yeah.
that has an image of the historic barn that was originally there with a site plan showing where it originally was, and then some information about how this barn got here and why you did what you did, so people know that it is not original, it's not from there, because it is essentially a new structure being built.
That's a very good point.
That's a really good point.
Yes.
So to piggyback on that, it exactly is a new structure, what's the point of even going to this extent when essentially nothing of this barn is either going to be visible or saved?
I'm gonna ask you guys to answer that. Go ahead.
Sorry.
Well, some of the things are going to be visible as I understand the plans.
Yes,
So that
the
people
inside.
can see adjoining, you can see the round pegs, as much as possible.
I'm sorry, I missed that. Could you repeat that?
Some of that will be visible, so that people can see the joining of the rafter and the walls and the round pegs. The hand-hewn, rafters will be visible.
So they will be
Bill,
visible.
yeah, see that section there?
Yeah.
The only
Well, this is
part-
the first time I've seen all this
Right.
because I can't see it.
Yeah.
The only part
I'm
that
with you. I
is
can't
really
keep
modern
that.
is the enclosed insulated space with a bathroom and a kitchen sink. And that'll have drywall, and that's where they're gonna be able to keep their
Okay.
artifacts safe and secure, because that will be a conditioned space. Everything else is raw wood, beams, ceiling,
Yeah.
roof, no
Okay.
finishes
Okay.
on the inside. You'll see all of the way the barn was constructed,
Okay.
Yeah.
in terms of
Alright.
its timber frame.
I misunderstood
Yeah.
that. Okay.
Okay.
Can I say something?
Please.
The first thing to your class doors, we have the barn doors, what we were originally thinking was being our main entrance, and you just can't lock a barn door successfully and have it sliding. But we have seen wonderful versions of doors that slide back, fold back, and are glass, so that you can have a winterized, safe, protected, vandal-proof entrance to the barn, but you don't see it from the street, you only see the barn door.
The glass door I was talking about was the one on the gable end, the single glass door on 8201.
It's a
I
staff
didn't realize
entry.
that was
Yeah.
glass.
That was the glass door I was talking
Oh,
about.
okay. The other thing on the, excuse me, what else were we just talking about?
The structure inside that's
Oh,
visible.
We've already been talking with several people about the possibility of a video inside on a loop or something, with possibly a panel explaining the history of the barn, the old barn. What we want them to see with the barn is the wooden pegs, the hand-hewn beams, all the work that went into it. And that will still be there, because all of the beams will be the old historic beams, because there are enough of them, if I'm not mistaken. Maybe not from that building, but from the second one, which we also have access to. What they had done was a building was built originally for the English Western barn in the early 1800s. Then they added another section, a middle barn, which they used for animals. And then they added the cow barn at the end. So we have 3 barns, and you will see them in
Yep.
one picture. We're only taking the one, but the hand-hewn beams and the materials from the others we can also use, which are appropriate and relatively time consistent. Our purpose was to have the completed image of this homestead, because you have a lovely little house that looks like every other house in the subdivision.
Mhm.
You know, you really can't tell. That's the oldest house in Oneana. It was the first farm, it was the first homestead, and there's no barn. How can it be a farm?
Right.
And it was also the last barn, the last farm in Oneonta. So he was still farming up until the 1950s, the late 1950s.
Wow.
So it has historic, both ends of Oneonta, the beginning and ending of the farming era. And so that barn really will tell the story. And the hand-hewn beams and the beauty inside, even with the modern siding that we're sort of having to accept.
Yeah, we don't
It's a
want
tough-
to, but we
It's a
don't
tough
have
boy,
choice.
but, you
Yeah.
know. Any other questions, I think?
I think the question was, Bill was asking was, what are we taking this at all for, rather than building something new?
Yeah, I mean, I kind of got an answer. I was envisioning the inside completely finished.
Oh, okay, like a whole sheet right in.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's not the intent.
The other problem that we're facing as a museum is that we've been given so many artifacts that we're literally pushing our seams, and we desperately need more storage space, and exhibit space.
And some-
Right, right now we can't exhibit any of the farm things that we have, other than in our corn crib, which is quite small. But we would like to be able to expand our exhibits to include the farm and the farm things. Henry Wilcox was quite the character. You could even rent an apple tree if you so desired, for $2.50 a year. So it's a shame to lose that kind of a character.
So that was one of my other kind of question concerns. It looks like from C-101 that the parking area is really abutting the orchard. So I was curious if the orchard was historic, if it had historically been there, kind of what it's like what impact will this new structure have on what is potentially a historic landscape feature?
It is our thought that the barn will be far enough away from the road that the apple orchard will cover the parking, which will be on the end of the barn. So the handicap parking.
Right.
So we've already been parking on the lawn for years. That's our parking area. And so the handicap accessible, which is what you were concerned about seeing from the street, will be hidden behind the apple orchard and a few of the trees that are still remaining.
So parking here is about 150 feet off the street, from the face of it to the street.
Can you skip to see C-101, please?
I guess the thought that I had was more about, you have this potentially historic orchard that is viewable from the house that will then be obstructed by a parking area.
No, the barn is
Thank you.
away from the house in terms of being able to visualize the apple orchard. And the apple orchard is something that was very important to Henry Wilcox and his livelihood. So we're delighted to have an apple orchard.
And in this, where's the apple orchard?
This is fenced in area right here.
It's right next to the community
Oh,
gardens.
okay.
It's right next to the community
Right
gardens.
next to the community gardens,
Yeah.
okay.
The apple orchard is really where it says lawn, between the lawn and the existing tree.
You can see the square of it.
Yep,
Yeah,
yep.
yeah.
Ellen, I think you're taking too much part of the discussion.
They said I could.
That's why she had to go out to the gallery.
Right, she's answering questions.
She's in the gallery.
Oh, really, you're no longer a member.
Okay. Do we have any other questions?
It's a statement. I
State,
think
state your piece.
I am fundamentally in support of this project. However, I do disagree that fundamentally it would be completing the farmstead, because it will not be presenting a historic barn. That being said, I don't have a problem with it. But I think it's important to recognize that this is not looking like a historic barn. It is not going to complete the farmstead in any way. It's serving as a necessary function for your museum. And I think that's important. And I think that's more important than trying to, fake make a barn.
Yeah.
So because of that, I have no issues with the fact that it's on a different site. I think it's better that it's not on the original site because it is not a rehabilitation. It is a new construction and it preserves the archaeology of the original site. Because of that, I have no issue with the concrete foundation. I think if they did laid up stone foundation, it would be trying to fake make a historic building, and that is not what this is.
We do have a laid up foundation under the corn cribs.
Oh,
If you wanna
yeah.
see what one
So-
looks like,
Right,
yes,
right.
right there, it's part of the story.
And also because of that, I don't really have huge concerns about the brick pathway. I think that this is it will clearly visibly be separate from the historic house. The only thing that I have is, I think it's really important to differentiate between the original built fabric of that space and this new intrusion, because that's what it is, it's a new intrusion in my opinion. And so that's why I go back to, I think it's really important to have an exterior, permanent, interpretive sign, showing the original historic barn, and this one in its original context. That's my big thing. And I say this as like, I've worked in museums my whole life, so I fully understand, and I worked at a museum who did something very similar. They
where we desperately need a space, where we
In the
can do
community
a
garden
program.
space, yeah, absolutely.
Cause it's great when God doesn't
Rain.
give us
Rain,
rain.
yeah.
Yesterday afternoon, we had 35 people on our front lawn. We often have 55 people on our front lawn, and there's no way they fit in the house. So that if it rains, we can't do a program.
Sarah, I would support a motion that incorporates what you said into the motion. That's appropriate.
I just wanted to add that adding a sign is an easy task. If we
Easy,
do that
yeah.
in-house, that's not a problem.
With the sign printer.
We have our own sign machine. I'm sure you've seen the El Galadoro sign. We did that in-house. The signs at
Sign
Little
that we
Cox,
already
the trail, we
have.
did all those signs, so that's an easy ask,
Yeah, yeah, and we'd love to have that. That would be absolutely, we like, in fact, the Boy Scouts often do their Eagle projects with us. And we have one that's done an interpretive walk around with signage, just this last spring, so. It is a community useful museum.
I find it odd that I'm always the one that is like the traditionalist and want to see that. I never thought I would be, but I am.
Still
I
going
have
around
a
questions?
statement.
Don't go in order.
Yeah, I think that, yeah, one second. I eloquently stated, Sarah, and I agree 100%. I fully support, I want to see a barn, and I live in, this is my neighborhood, and I think it's a wonderful project. I have mixed emotions about this and how it's being done, because I do want to see the materials and the traditional construction aspects of it. But very well said, Sarah. Yeah, let's go up, do the round table, Sherilyn.
I lean into what Sarah was saying. Basically, I agree with you about wanting to see the historic materials. I think they're finding a compromise that will work in using the reclaimed materials, the reclaimed wood, and much of the new stuff is going to be inside where we can't see it. I had one question. I'm not thrilled about the parking lot, but I know it's a necessity. Is there going to be external lighting at all around this building? Will it be freestanding or attached, so no lights, so nothing after dark? Okay, thank you. Then I don't have any other questions. I was just wondering about that.
I completely agree with what Sarah had to say, and I think the idea of doing a loop inside is great, but I really think the one outside is really important because you're gonna have people who show up when the place is not open, nobody's there to answer questions, and you wanna be able to explain the site to them and how it came about. So I think that is very important. And I also still, this is just me on my little ADA harp, I do think that if you're gonna do this pathway, it might as well go around the front. Because, I'm sorry, but people are gonna be coming to these events, and they're gonna be coming with their disabled veterans or their disabled mother, and the doors are gonna be open, the sliding barn door's gonna be open, and that's where they're gonna go in, and are you gonna really tell them, oh no, you have to go around to the back? That is just totally against the law, and could actually be suable. So the ADA is very clear that, this is why movie theaters were getting sued within an inch of their lives, because they were only providing accessible seats in a couple spots because it was so difficult. And if you do a new movie theater now, they've got to be throughout the entire, audience viewing space. And so I just think you've got a front door, it has to be accessible.
So if we had the front door, would we have to have the back door be accessible also?
I don't see why, if it might need to be accessible for an egress point of view.
I want to make sure we're complying with the law, so if we're not doing that, I just want to make sure that we're understanding why.
Well,
So if we do the front one,
I see the front as being like an event space entrance. That'll be open in the summertime. In the winter, if you're gonna have access to that, you're gonna want it in the back because you're not gonna be opening the big glass
You're
doors.
not understanding this front entrance. It's a sliding barn door that closes in front of two glass doors, if you look at the elevation.
Right,
So those glass doors can be shut in the winter
right.
and used as an entry.
As an entry.
Yeah, I mean, the building space is not conditioned. That interior space is totally unconditioned, so I don't know how much winter use they're gonna get out of it.
Okay.
Because it's gonna be
we're
whatever
not
it is.
in winter.
Yeah,
Okay.
so it's,
Well,
Alright.
I think my understanding of ADA is that your primary entrance is what has to be accessible. So,
Understood that, yeah, that, maybe she wants to comment on that.
so yeah, whichever is your primary entrance, that's what
So
needs.
not to, I don't wanna derail too far down the ADA review here. What I would say is like, in the case of this brick pathway, the real question for this commission is, would a brick pathway in front of this building be appropriate or not? Whether it's ADA compliant is a secondary concern. And that's, so, as a code official, obviously ADA is part of what I'm reviewing. But from a design standpoint, what you guys are really reviewing are materials, site plans, you know, and the ADA is part of it.
my feeling is that if you're doing the brick path at all, it doesn't hurt to wrap it all around the building. I mean,
And
it
that
was
could be part-
concrete before, and I did not like seeing concrete sidewalk all over around the whole barn. That
Right.
just seemed antithetical to the whole site. But if it's truly a brick path,
Right.
I agree 100% with what you're saying. Yeah.
So that might be something you would bring up in approval, that it would be okay to put a brick path in front of the building.
I mean, we've all agreed that it's not really a barn.
I
It's a
don't,
visitor
Right.
I
center.
don't agree. And I think the Center for Independence should make this decision, not us.
Right, and that's
Yeah.
essentially what I'm saying, Bob. You guys aren't talking about ADA, what you guys are talking about is whether it would be appropriate to have a brick path in front of this or not.
Historically, I don't know a whole lot of barns that had brick paths going around them,
Right.
not even in the Wizard of Oz. But if a similar style of brick path might have been typical for that house, then, you know, given that this is not really the historic barn anyway, I wouldn't have too much of a problem with it.
Is, with,
We
Is-
already have a brick path going from the house out to our corn crib. So this would just continue that path.
And that's part of it is the functionality of the site. I
Well,
mean,
yeah, so, I mean,
This probably would have been a mud pit.
exactly.
Oh, of course it would have
Historically,
been a mud path.
Exactly.
Efron would not have
Never done
had
bricks.
a brick path anywhere. But 99% of historic sites and museums would not have had brick paths or
Right.
stone
Yeah.
paths.
Yeah.
You have to have a historic material or some sort of material that makes it possible to go to these places.
And if it's an extension of what is already at the
Yes.
house anyway, then I'm okay with that.
Yeah,
So,
which it would be.
Yeah, which, I mean, is a non-historic fabric, but it's in keeping with an existing style, so.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I don't have
it
an
makes
issue.
it safe to walk from the house to the corn crib.
So are we going all the way around or just keeping the way it is? Doesn't matter.
I'm okay with it going all the way around.
Yeah, I mean, so I think what this board would be approving is a site plan that would either allow it or not allow it. And it sounds like you guys are okay with the idea of there being brick walk paths around the structure.
I mean, I've been to a number of the events there, and it's a much older crowd than, you know, so there's a lot of infirmity and using walkers and,
so correct me if I'm wrong, but the ADA compliance would be reviewed either in code enforcement or maybe another
So
commission?
we review construction drawings to ensure that they comply with laws related to ADA and construction.
Okay.
We will often request Catskill Center for Independence to look at some of our ADA stuff because they do that, that's what
And-
that's their shtick.
And this would this go to them?
I mean, we can ask them to look at it, yeah.
Okay.
If there's concern about ADA compliance, that's not.
So, just for direction of this commission, I think we could state in our motion that we are not okay with a brick path, dependent on how they review that, or how it's reviewed, whether it's the code enforcement office or the center.
We would prefer to have as little brick path as possible, just because farms didn't have brick paths.
Sure.
And I don't know if that illustration will change over time, and it won't. I don't see any need really for the brick doors on that
You-
side of the barn.
It might be more appropriate, packed cinders.
Well,
It-
packed cinders are very difficult for someone with a cane or a wheelchair. I would prefer not to do that just for safety of
I think,
our audience.
I think the state actually prefers packed cinder for ADA compliance on, essentially trails, which is essentially what this would be,
Yeah, it would be a
um,
walkway.
a walkway. You may wanna look into it, investigate it.
Since we
When I
already-
say packed cinders, I don't mean like crushed stone, or, it's actually very fine, very hard, that a wheelchair can roll on. Just an option, I'm not saying you need to do that.
Since we already have a brick path, it just seemed to me the continuation of that brick made more sense than to introduce a new material, that's all.
Except that you've got gravel driveways all over the place. I mean, I kind of think you're right about the packed cinders, that would be
Well,
much
the
more
gravel
sort of in keeping.
driveway isn't anywhere near the house.
But
or the
it's
barn.
part of the site.
It's just.
It's part of the site architecture. And, I mean, it's nice to know that you've got a brick path already, so that helps to
Yeah.
make it make sense. But I agree with you, I don't think it needs to wrap all around the building.
No, I just,
I mean,
the
you could put a
initial-
bluestone slab outside the egress door and that would be good enough. As long as you had some pretty good access for the front door where everybody's gonna be
Right.
going in, you know.
Okay, Charlie, do you have anything else?
I just agree with everything that's going on over here, and I take it one step, we're kind of correcting a wrong. Like, the last farm barn in Oneana should not have been burned down in 1969, you know?
But
So,
we can't go back to
can't go back in
1969,
time, but
so-
we can have kind of a period barn.
Yeah.
If it looks a little
We're
different, it
coming
looks a
as
little.
close as you can with what's been given to us.
Exactly.
Nobody gave us the perfect barn.
Right.
We're lucky that we were given this barn. 'cause
And to have,
otherwise-
to have access to the interior to show what it would have
Yes,
looked like.
I think that'll be.
Yeah, so I agree with everything over there. Let's go for it. I even agree with, like, there has to be some kind of walkway in front of this big
Yeah.
glass entrance door in the front of the building.
I have no further comments at this time.
Oh, you don't wanna beat a dead horse?
So I guess, my question is, are we gonna make a motion for approval with recommendations, or denial?
I think approval with recommendations, correct?
That's what I would be comfortable with.
And those recommendations?
So I have no strong opinions about the brick pathway. My only recommendation is for an exterior permanent interpretive sign that shows an image of the original barn and a site plan showing where the original barn was, and it speaks to the context of the barn
Yeah,
removal.
we already have that as part of our interpretive signs that are already on the property. So you're
Yeah.
not asking for anything that isn't already there.
Fantastic.
Yeah, that's great. So that is my condition. That's where I'm at.
Other than this barn is not an original structure on the site.
Right, so that would be part of the
Yes,
sign.
that would be
Yeah.
part of this one. We may have to add that, Chris. The sign that's already there.
Rendition,
Yeah.
multiple each other.
And I agree with Sarah, and I would prefer not to see the brick pathway as part of the motion.
So I have so does the sign need to be a modification to because they already have it, or not?
I think it does,
Okay.
just because it clarifies that this is a non-historic structure on this site.
Okay.
So they have, the barn, was
Yes.
here, and this is what it
Right.
looked like, but
Oh,
this
we
would.
don't have the first part.
Oh,
We don't
yeah.
have the clarification.
Yeah,
part.
and this
So
would
that
clarify.
easily could be added.
Yeah.
All right, so I have an interpretive sign for modification. Are there any others? Okay.
Time for secret?
You do that? You do that yet?
Let's do it.
You do that so well.
Okay.
I don't know what
So-
I'd do without you.
I'd like to make a motion that the Oneonta Landmarks and Historic Preservation Commission serve as the lead agency on this proposal for seeker.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Sarah?
Aye.
Unanimous.
And I would also like to make a motion that this be declared a type 2 action under seeker because it deals with the construction or expansion of a primary or accessory appurtenant, non-residential structure or facility involving less than 4,000 square feet of gross floor area and not involving a change in zoning or a use variance, and consistent with local land use controls, but not radio communication or microwave transmission facilities.
We promise.
I'll second that.
Promise.
No microwave transmission facilities.
Can I get a second?
Also second that.
Thank you.
All right.
Aye.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Unanimous. So I would like to make a motion, unless somebody else wants to accept the certificate of appropriateness with modification of an interpretive sign for both the new structure and the old structure, that it's taking the place of.
Second.
Second that, Bob? All right. Sarah?
Aye.
Sharon?
Aye.
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 I think I'm a no on this, I'm sorry. It doesn't make a difference, so.
Well, we didn't have discussion, maybe we should have
Well, I think we've discussed it. Okay.
Thank you.
Any questions? Please come back.
Okay, we will.
Thank you.
Thank you.
What's the completion date? Any idea yet?
July 4th, 2026, in time for Oleander's America 250 celebration.
Ooh, cool.
It will
Great.
start at the Fort Wilcox House Barn and proceed down River Street to hometown Oleander
Cool.
with a parade.
Fantastic.
And started, that's why we bought the house, or the city bought the house to begin with, was for 1976. And that's where it started. So we are carrying on that story as
Okay.
best we can.
And this will show Oleander's appreciation of history and heritage 50 years later. Rundown farmhouse that was falling down to a useful community facility.
Brilliant.
Love it.
You do great work. Thank you.
Thank you.
You've done a great job. So,
Thank you. Thanks for all your hard work.
yeah.
Yes.
All volunteers.
You can come back and sit over here now.
Yeah, we gotta talk about these historic markers, Helen.
Thank you,
Yep.
Helen.
Thank you.
I'll stay.
Thank you.
Take care.
Have a good night.
I said no, yes, I said no. Voted no.
The discussion of historic markers.
And I sit next to you.
You can put thumbtacks on the seat next to me.
Yeah.
I'll do it, but pretend that wasn't me.
Okay. I think we can move on to open discussion.
I asked that the historic markers should be brought up. Marcy McCucci and I were talking about this the other day because as the Historical Society looks at vastly expanding the program of historic markers, some of them are in the historic district, and we're just thinking about whether it should be the kind of thing that is overlooked by, or the Landmarks Commission has some role in deciding when it's appropriate. And so far, we've been dealing with mostly with Greg Mattias about the placement of markers, but maybe it should be a broader discussion than that, or a more focused discussion on how if they're in the historic district, how they may affect the look of the district or the property.
Well, thank you for bringing it up. It was something that I was actually thinking about also. So let me understand the process a little bit better. So the History Center goes, they come up with maybe a list for historic markers, and then they go to Greg?
Well, no, they would go to Greg only if it's on city property, for example, the Armory or 27 Market. Those are, and I'm not coming up with the other ones, but there are a couple of others too that have been on, Center Street School, I guess that's different. But anyway, there have been a few cases where it has been on city property.
On city property.
But otherwise, they have not played a role.
And
we're looking though.
does he approve or disapprove sometimes, or?
No, just facilitate, or, yeah, I guess they approve the placement of it.
Okay.
Yeah. But they haven't said, no, you can't put it there, or, you know. They've been very good to work.
So are we just trying to streamline the process?
Well, I'm sorry, I don't want to put words in your mouth, Bob, but I think what you're saying is, if you're putting up a historical marker within a landmarked district or on
Yes.
a landmarked property, it's
Should
an
we
exterior change, we would then have to review it.
Right. Like, for example, one of the ones that's coming up pretty soon is one where the former Ford Mansion was, and we're looking at having it be in front of Community Bank if Community Bank approves. But should there be an additional approval from the Landmarks Commission of placing it in, for example, where the fountain used to be.
Where the fountain used to be. So we want to be a part of saying where it's placed on the property? Is that what
Well,
we're?
does our ordinance specify that within a locally landmarked district or property, we must review? Yeah, so I think we are obligated legally to review it. Because
So that process will happen automatically through the code office, right?
Well-
Like, you will,
In theory, I mean, Greg Mathias would tell me where we were proposing to put these signs, and they would come to you.
Like
you
what,
say, wait a minute, you say in theory.
what just happened with the Center Street one? Did we,
But that's not on the
That's not
historic.
on
district.
oh, that's not in the historic district,
Yeah.
right? That's on
Yeah.
Center Street.
Specific talking about ones downtown.
But for example, one coming up is, well, no, that's not historic district either, but it's on city property, for Central New York Fair. But that would be different because it's not on national.
Yeah, it's not.
Okay, so it's possible that Greg bypasses the code department and says, Historic Society, you're okay, go ahead and put it there. If,
Well, yeah, so I mean, like, in a perfect world, if we're all communicating, and I can email everyone tomorrow and say, hey, by the way, this will need reviewed, make sure you loop me in when you start this process.
Yeah, because
If I don't know
27,
about it, then I can't tell you.
right,
27 Market should have been,
Yeah.
I guess, approved.
Well, so I guess I would say, like, if the historical society or historical association knows that you have a sign coming up that is in a locally landmarked area, you should communicate that likely with Stephen directly,
Yep.
because there's a difference, like, not all city property is locally landmarked.
Right.
Right.
And so, like, Greg wouldn't necessarily be involved in
Mhm.
that process. So I would say the History Center should come directly to Stephen, our
Yeah.
council liaison, Bill, or Dara.
Yeah. Or anybody else who may be putting up an historic marker if it's not GOHS.
Yeah, exactly,
Yeah.
yeah.
Are they all exactly the same style? It's just the writing that's different?
Pretty much. They're made by two different companies. If the Pomeroy Foundation funds it, it's made by a company out in Indiana, I believe. If we're self-funding it, we deal with Catskill Castings in Delaware County.
And it could be something you could almost generically make like a blanket approval, like almost like a seeker action. Like, you could say like, these specific types of signs, and you could come up with like if they're always located on a specific way or in a specific way.
I mean, and you know, they would have to meet with Greg Mathias's approval of them, because the signs can be dangerous if they're placed in the wrong spot and block someone's view of a intersection or something, so it's,
And do they have to have the person's approval that is in front of it, they mentioned community bank.
Yes, oh yeah, community bank would have to okay it, yeah. I don't know that we've made a formal proposal to them yet.
Why, do they own the sidewalk?
It's not on the sidewalk, it's in that little garden
What,
space
that
that
used to be
the
the,
pool.
the
Where
fountain.
the fountain used to be.
Yeah.
And does it say something to the effect of the Ford is around the corner? Go look at it?
The drive-through.
Well,
Well, you're saying, are you putting it on the community bank? Because that's where the Ford mansion used to be?
yes, yes.
So does the sign tell people where they can now see the Ford, or it's
Well,
gone?
it's
Oh,
gone.
It's gone.
Okay, I was thinking it was
It's
the.
gone.
You're thinking
I
of the
was
Wilbur
thinking-
mansion.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right, okay.
Yeah, and if
So-
anybody else is putting some historic marker, they would have the same
Yeah.
deal.
I assume they're probably planning on lots of markers then, right? I mean, does the Wilbur Mansion have one?
Yes,
Or are they, it does? Okay.
Yes. yeah, that's a relatively new one, too.
Fairchild?
No, but it has a marker outside it, and not one of the blue and gold ones or yellow ones. No.
The other question, the other oddity, I should say, is that if there is a historic marker going up somewhere that isn't in a designated landmark district or a designated landmark, you would think it would, by that nature,
Yeah,
Be-
a landmark?
be a landmark, right? Like,
Yeah.
that's kind of the oddity about it.
Well, but that would be our job. Like, so
Yes.
we designated quite conservatively.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
we can continue to designate
Yeah.
as we continue our research, as whatever. So, and I honestly, if there's community support for a historic marker, it's a great reason to show that there is local support for this, and maybe we do locally designate that.
Yeah.
If it's not,
Like there should be one for Stella Luna, you know?
yeah,
Oh,
we do
definitely.
locally
Right.
designate.
Oh, yeah,
so
that's
local
in,
content,
that's in
yeah.
the works, too.
And it's for Wilcox Barn, absolutely.
Well, there's a perfect example. Stella Luna isn't one of our landmarks.
Yeah.
No, no,
Well,
that's,
so-
that's what
That's
I'm
what-
saying.
It is. Stella
Is
Luna's was
eligible?
locally landmarked.
Is it was?
It is?
Yeah,
We didn't do it.
we did.
When?
When we made the districts, it was considered eligible.
Oh.
So we determined that all structures that were either listed or eligible for listing.
Yeah, good point.
Oh,
Okay.
So at that point, SHPO had determined that to be eligible for listing.
great.
Yeah. But we also, to Sarah's point, should be talking about whether we want to make any motions to the common council to expand the definitions and expand the, like,
I've been in full
like the
support of that.
smokestack.
Yeah. I've
Really?
been I believe that we should be expanding a little bit also. But we were actually talking a while back about getting a detailed survey done. Maybe we should ask the council to approve a survey.
I mean, ideally, we would use grant funding for that if we could find it.
Why, we have the survey,
We have a
the next,
reconnaissance level survey, so you need a,
An intensive level survey.
yeah.
So.
that would include, one would hope, an application.
Yep,
Yeah.
so typically what would happen is you do your reconnaissance level survey, which establishes a broad historical context for your community. And it also outlines, potentially eligible historic districts. And that's that big, beautiful 200 some odd page document that Jesse got to us. The next step, in pursuing state and national register listed historic districts is an intensive level survey, which is where you say, okay, we're now going to go through street by street and identify the architectural characteristics, what buildings would and would not be contributing to this district. And so what we would do, ideally, if we are spearheading this effort, is we would go through the reconnaissance level survey and pick out one or two areas that we think are most important, and then proceed with an intensive level survey that way. Because doing an intensive level survey for the entire city would cost a lot of money.
Right.
It would take a ton of time, and it would be an overwhelming amount of
data.
work. Yeah, absolutely. So.
But let's just think of it. I mean, the Center City neighborhood is like filled with,
But honestly, down on River Street, like the
Yeah.
6th Ward is incredibly historic,
Yep.
And under-recognized.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like the Fody building.
Yeah, Well, and honestly, Derek, have you, like, I mean, I have a plot at the community garden, and I walk down, and just looking at the incredible architecture down there on residences is awesome, so yeah.
And 2 markers are going in down there in the next month or so, one for the Sixth Ward and one for McDonald's Tavern.
Yeah, right.
Sixth
And-
Ward
Slash Stewards.
Booster Club or Sixth Ward Athletic Club?
No, just the Sixth Ward in general.
Oh, Sixth Ward General, sorry.
I don't remember where it's gonna be placed right now.
Where's McDonald's Tavern, or where's
Where's
the
Stewart's?
Stewart's is now, the old Stewart's.
Oh, what a shame.
And so the intended result of an intensive level survey is a National Register nomination. And so if we were to pursue a grant, we would write into that grant an intensive level survey resulting in a National Register nomination for one district or whatever.
The 6th Ward or something.
Yeah, we would just, have to identify that in our call for proposals.
Let's do it.
Let's do it.
So yeah, so back to what Bill brought up like 6 months ago,
We
going
were
through that
supposed to go through
survey
that survey.
and identify what we think is important.
I mean, I think there's probably a couple things. One is importance from an architectural standpoint and history and connection to Oneana's history, but also, is the place in any danger of being lost?
Yeah.
So, because there's some pretty neat old factory buildings, down off the train, by the,
Yeah.
the train depot. There's some wonderful buildings back in there that.
Well, and so the important thing to remember is so what an intensive level survey and a National Register nomination would do is it would document it. It would offer no protections
Right.
unless it is a public works project. If state or federal funding is being used, that's the only time
Right.
review would come into play. But what it could do for those factory buildings is it could offer a commercial tax incentive.
And well, we could also nominate them for local landmark.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
So-
So, and then we would have protective measures as well,
Right.
yeah.
Do we need to do an intensive level survey if we can compile a list of properties ourselves?
So
Like,
we,
is it absolutely a requirement?
as the local Landmarks and Historic Preservation Commission, we can locally landmark whatever we want. So we could make a list of historic buildings, present it to council, make the recommendation. If we want to proceed with a National Register nomination for any historic districts, 9 times out of 10 you need an intensive level survey, unless you have every member on this commission who's willing to go out and write building descriptions of hundreds of properties.
Yeah, I did that in school. It's not fun.
It's not.
And I don't think we have time for that.
Well, that's the thing. So yeah,
I've written 3 or 4.
I did like
That's a long
70
time.
a couple weeks ago. So anyway,
Um,
the SHPO would, I am 90% sure, require an intensive level survey.
all right, so there's a lot of stuff on the table right now. Getting back to the signage.
Yeah.
So, I'm not really sure how to proceed. Do we just want to send a letter to the History Center saying, that any sign in a historic district or landmark has to be approved?
Both content and placement, would this be, or just replacement? Or what?
I don't know if we are going to dictate font placement or font.
No,
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 we
can't do that.
I would just say placement.
Yeah.
And placement only only to the extent of its effect on the historic siting, because we don't wanna get into placement from a safety standpoint or placement from any other,
Yeah.
we don't wanna take that on.
Correct.
Okay. So then in theory, that would generate something at the code office and then come to us.
Right. I would know a size bill.
So we're just reiterating
Yeah.
that.
Is it our place to send that letter to the History Center, or should that come from,
I can just email. I can send an email to the History Center if they're the ones.
should Bob do it?
Excuse me, does that mean
Yeah.
there's gonna be a fee for having a permit that didn't exist before?
Could, is it?
No, I mean, so the difference between these types of signs is is they're almost like a municipal, we treat them like street signs, basically. We're not treating it like an advertisement, commercial signage.
So is it something where we could designate that historical markers don't have to be subject
you
to
can-
a
you can
permitting
even-
fee?
Yeah.
Or an
I think
application fee?
Well, what we would probably wanna do is like, I mean, it's almost a question we could have for Dave Merzick too, like, do these fall under the definition of like governmental signage?
Well, so my question is, so,
We don't charge to put up street signs.
right, so my question is, say, you know, the Wilbur Mansion wanted to put a little plaque, you know, a sign essentially saying, you know, this is our history, and it's not a Pomeroy marker, it's not one of the big blue gold signs. It's a permanent sign on the exterior of the building on a locally landmarked, property. We would then have to review it. So that would not be a municipal sign, that would be a private
So the
sign.
fee that we charge is because we have to post public notice for all these meetings. So when someone does something, it generates a public hearing, we have to then, so you'd almost wanna maybe come up with like a way to exempt that type of signage
From a public hearing,
from having to be reviewed.
but don't we have to review it? Isn't that what we're saying?
That's
As
what
a commission?
That's what the law says right now. But what I'm saying is maybe we review that as like something we would exempt from review. Like we come up with parameters that would exempt certain types of things so that we're not generating a public hearing that we
I
then
don't have
have
a
to
problem
pay
with
for.
exempting it, I mean, they're not permanent. If, they don't affect the fabric of the buildings.
This is something we can also talk to SHPO about, because we have a CLG person.
Yeah, it's a good point.
I'd be like, what do other communities do with this type of signage?
I think you should do that,
Yeah.
and get back to us next.
That's a great idea.
Thank you so
We're
much.
passing the buck. Thank you, Steve, for picking it up.
All right, so are you okay with that, Bob?
Sure,
All
no,
right,
that sounds good. We've
so-
begun the discussion, and I think we need to, we'll see where it goes.
Yeah, because I'm sure other communities have the same question, and they probably already figured, and they've probably been given direction from SHPO on how to address it.
It's an odd situation. I'm still going back to that like, okay, first of all, the landmarks. And let's revisit that whole,
Intensive survey
intensive
thing.
survey
Well,
next
weren't we all
month.
supposed to sort of look at the
Yeah.
reconnaissance level and pick our favorite piece and then present it a little bit?
I must have missed that meeting.
Yeah, I think I,
Yeah, me too.
That was
overlooked
before you
that.
came.
Oh, okay.
So you're, and before you, Charlie. So you two are,
Yeah.
you didn't not do the.
Do you have the surveys?
No.
Oh.
Do you want
Is
paper
there,
copies or do
is
you
there a
like
digital copy we can just find online?
It's
No,
on
I
our website.
gave
Yeah.
it.
Oh, is that what you just gave me today?
Yeah.
All right, yes, I have one.
If you want a digital copy, they're online
Fantastic.
on our website.
I'll just, online.
Yeah.
Okay.
Or did I take it back?
It's
No,
on our
I said I was
website.
gonna make a copy for you, it's
like
right in here.
80
Yes.
80 pages.
No, 200.
It is,
Oh,
it's a,
200.
yeah, it's
I'm
like-
gonna email you if I don't have it.
Okay.
Oh, that.
Yes,
Big
thank you.
one.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Live photo.
All right, thank you.
So you'll be able to, is this the survey they're talking about?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm gonna make a copy of this and give him his original back, and then
If
I'm
not,
gonna
if
put
you
it
need
up
it.
online. But if we do ever go over this, this is something like we're gonna do on the deck of the Autumn, right?
That's a great
On a
idea.
beautiful sunny day,
With the
instead of
beer.
sitting
Like how you
here.
think-
With
Yeah.
a beer,
Yeah, that's-
absolutely.
Wait,
Just-
we
just
can't have a
Declare
quorum.
it or-
I think we should make that a motion.
It would have to be a public meeting.
Yeah.
I make a motion that we adjourn.
All right.
Yeah, thank you.
Second.
I'll second that.
Second,
Thank you.
Aye.